Very helpful. So there have been a few questions about questions, and there are slips of paper on your chairs, and there are roving mics. If you have a question and you just want to give it in, then just wave it in the air. There will be people walking down the aisles with roving mics, and you can give them the question. Or there's a box at the back if you want to pop questions into that box. What we'll try and do is coordinate questions, those that are similar, so that we can address as many different points as possible. We didn't have questions during that first session, which was really kind of more about what has been done in terms of the baseline, and we won't during or just after each of the next talks on what imaging is being done, but there will be opportunity for questions during the panel discussion and immediately after the panel discussion before we break for lunch. I mean, there's one question here that I'll answer because it's on the baseline. Can commercial organizations make use of the data? The answer to that is yes. This is a resource that's available for use for academic and commercial researchers because both of types of researchers can help us to improve health and often involve collaborations, as we'll see during the imaging, between academic researchers and industry researchers. And we heard from the eye talk about how the company who developed the method for making measurements actually then developed automated methods of turning those measurements into information that could be used by researchers. So those kinds of collaborations are very helpful. And companies that are there to make money, but companies in health-related research are there to improve health and then make money. So there may well be profits that they make, but the profits will, we hope, be at the expense of improving health. So we'll come on to other questions during the panel discussion, but first I'll ask Steve Garratt from the Coordinating Centre, who has been coordinating the pilot phase of imaging and helping us to demonstrate that what seemed not to be feasible at the beginning is feasible, and that is to image 100,000 people. So Steve, tell us about the imaging. Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. I actually think we're going to start off with a short video for you to watch, which I hope is going to be.
Okay, just keep nice and still again.
Heart, brain, bones, even fat content. Every part of the body will be imaged for this ambitious project.
Breathe all the way out.
I'm the first of 100,000 people who will be invited to undergo the tests. The MRI scans will yield a huge amount of data. The goal is clear.
We will understand better the causes of a wide range of different diseases. The brain scans may well help us to understand the causes of dementia and other types of cognitive decline.
Biobank scientists are analysing DNA from all the volunteers and will compare this with information supplied on diet, fitness, health records and cognitive tests.
The DNA is stored in this freezer in trays at -80 degrees. And it's the combination of this huge genetic database together with lifestyle and medical information that makes UK Biobank such a powerful resource.
Anne Johnson hopes the research will help explain why she got Alzheimer's disease at just 52.
My father had this before me, and his lifestyle, like mine, was nothing wrong with it. So I can't identify what caused it for him or for me. So we need to identify if there's any common denominators there which give us a clue as to what may be the cause of this.
The scanning project is not a health check. Volunteers won't see their scans. But if a potentially serious problem like a tumour is spotted, that will be fed back.
You can see here the fluid-filled spaces in the centre of the brain.
It could mean early diagnosis, but also cause alarm.
Some tumours are not amenable to treatment, and so somebody has to live with the knowledge that they have something that nothing can be done about. And that can just create worry and a negative impact on travel and life insurance.
UK Biobank is an example of altruism. volunteers know it's not their health, but that of future generations that will benefit from this groundbreaking project. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fergus. So yes, my name's Steve Garratt. I'm a Senior Project Manager at UK Biobank, and I've been running the imaging project actually for nearly 4 years, although we've only actually been scanning people for about 2 of those years. And I'm here today just to tell you a little bit about the project before I hand over to some of the experts who've been helping us to give you a little bit more of detail about what they are doing. So, what is the imaging project? Well, firstly, it'll take around 7 years to complete, and it'll take 7 years to complete with us scanning 18 participants every day around 3 imaging centres in the UK. And we'll be scanning 7 days a week, only stopping for bank holidays, Christmas, Easter, and 4 days where we'll be having essential maintenance on the scanners. We've had £40 million in funding to do this imaging, and the ultimate aim is to have a full set of images for 100,000 of our participants. Now, when I say a full set of images, we are really talking about lots of different modalities, so we're not focusing on any one particular part of the body. We have a 3 Tesla Siemens Skyra system that we're going to do the brain imaging on. We have a 1.5 Tesla Siemens Era scanner that we do the cardiac and the abdominal imaging on. We also have a GE-provided iDEXA, which we do the body scans and effectively the bone density. And we have a Panasonic cardio health station that we do carotid ultrasound scanning on. So a whole wide range of imaging there. I'm actually going to start by recognising our working group. Without those, the time that those guys have given, we really wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today. I started off by saying I've been on the project 4 years. They've been on the project for far longer. When I joined, we submitted the application for funding, and they've been heavily involved in doing all of that application and really working with us to get the timings right for these imaging protocols, and they're using some real state-of-the-art imaging techniques. So my thanks to them, and as I say, some representatives of the working group are going to be talking to us shortly. So why are we doing this imaging? Well, as has already been described by Rory, we have already got lots and lots of data through the baseline visit, and this imaging data really extends that phenotype. So we look at the characteristics of our participants and how they are influenced by their lifestyle, by environment, and by the genetics. And with the huge population that we have, and with the 100,000 participants we are going to image, it really allows us for us to make some associations to a wide range of common and indeed not so common diseases. And with the linkage to that data, we're able to start looking at some interesting associations. So just to pick some examples, we can look at brain volume and link that to alcohol intake and then dementia. We could perhaps look at physical activity, the diet, and visceral fat volume. So, there's some really interesting studies there. And the other really important bit to say is that these images are taken before disease. So we're not identifying people with heart disease and then scanning their hearts. We're scanning people's hearts before they get heart disease, so that in time, as heart disease develops, we can then go back and look at the pictures of their hearts and see if there is anything there that will allow us to make meaningful risk assessments in the future and aid diagnosis of these things. So it's really important. So as I say, we've actually been scanning for 2 years now, and we've scanned over 7,000 participants in the Northwest in a first phase, which the funders asked us to do before releasing funding for the full 100,000. And people like John, the participant who was here earlier, have been coming to Stockport and have taken part in that. And that first phase alone has already made us pretty much the largest medical imaging study in the world. There are some of comparable size, but with the wide range of imaging that we have got, we're already pretty much the biggest out there. and a large swathe of that data was released to our research community at the end of last year, and there are already several research projects going on. And as the volumes increase, that will obviously improve. So I just want to touch very quickly on the sort of the methodology behind all this, how we've gone about designing the study. So firstly, with the centre construction, this is our coordinating centre in Stockport, and as again John described earlier, it's effectively a warehouse on an industrial estate just outside of Stockport. And this was chosen for very good reason. It was very quick and cost effective to build, so we've just put some partition walls up inside the centre, plastered over them, delivered the scanners in through the large roller shutter door at the front of the building, sealed them in, and we're left with a rather nice looking MRI room that's very spacious. They're wide bore scanners, state of the art, but really quick and really easy to install. But again, as John touched on before, it's clearly not a clinical environment. These are research studies. It isn't a clinical assessment. In terms of participant recruitment, at our baseline, we effectively had a model where we would set up a centre in the middle of a town. We would invite everybody within the age range to come along to one of those centres. And when we had pretty much exhausted that population, we would close the centre down, move it to the next town along, and repeat. For the imaging, we can't do that. It's very expensive to install the scanners and move the scanners. So we're effectively asking all of these people to come to a central centre in Stockport and have their imaging done there. We are inviting out to 150 kilometres, so that's a good 2-hour journey for some of our people. And the thing to really mention is through our experiences in the first phase, our participants are more than willing to do this. It's incredible. We are getting a response rate of around 20% all the way out to 150 kilometres, which is astonishing. And when you come in a little bit closer, at 50 kilometres we're more like 30% response rate, and within 20 kilometres we are over 40% of participants who are invited will come along and take part in this study. So that's incredible. The day itself, you will come into the centre, go through a registration, pre-screening and consent stage, and we have 3 participants who will attend at any one time, and they are sent to one of 3 different stations, and each of those stations are roughly the same amount of time. You have roughly 30 minutes being imaged inside of one of those stations, and you have all of the imaging done. You hopefully all finish at about the same time, and you basically swap and go into the next imaging modality. You have another 30 minutes there, you swap again, another 30 minutes, and then you leave. And when you leave, there are another 3 people ready to go into those scanners. So we're using the scanners almost all the time, all day, to get that those 18 participants. And when they come out, you do a repeat of that baseline, and then you're free to leave. And overall, it takes about 4 hours. Okay, so 4 hours of somebody's time when they've already spent a couple of hours travelling to, and will have another couple of hours to travel home. But 99% of the participants who fill out a feedback questionnaire at the end say that the time was acceptable. The duration is acceptable for 99% of people. And nearly 30% of those people actually say they'd be willing to stay longer. So again, incredible. So the current status of the project, we've, as I say, had our funding to do the 100,000. That was officially announced back in April. To date, we've actually scanned just over 9,500 people. We should scan our 10,000th person in July. For the new sites, we have procured all of the imaging equipment for those sites. Plans are well progressed for actually getting the construction going. We're recruiting staff. We are looking to add some of the new dementia tests, and I think, as John Gallagher mentioned before, we are starting to explore now about repeat imaging, and indeed feasibility of including a few more other enhancements to keep the 30% who want to do more happy. I'll quickly mention our funders, so primarily the MRC and the Wellcome Trust, but several others. And now I think it's probably time to hand over to some of our working group to tell you a little bit more detail about those specific modalities. So coming up first, we have Jimmy Bell, who will speak about imaging of the body and liver, and then he'll be followed by Mark Jenkinson, describing the brain imaging. We have Stefan Peterson here talking about the heart, and Nick Harvey talking about the bone mass scans. And after that, we are going to have a panel discussion on the imaging project, which is led by Giles Maskell, who is president of the Royal College of Radiologists. So if you have any questions, then feel free to ask them then. Thank you.